Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw report for the 20th of December 2021. Not exactly a good show by any stretch of the imagination, but when is Raw a good show anymore? I mean, I really can't even begin to imagine what a good Raw show might look like in that way. In any event, not a fan of the show by any stretch for virtually any reason. But anyhow, so hopefully this is helpful to you in your pursuit of not having to watch as much junky wrestling as is average. Anyhow, we've got over 2,100 of these available, and basically going into a day one pay per view. I'm not a fan of that concept either. Pay per view on New Year's Day, it looks desperate. Also, note Matt Riddle and the Street Profits were not on the show. Bobby Lashley and MVP promo. Lashley and MVP enter pretty quickly. Basically, MVP recaps what Lashley has accomplished last week and said fans couldn't understand what it took to do what he did. He compared it to winning the Boston Marathon and getting a triple double in the NBA before knocking out the Francis Ngannou in a fight, and then Big E interrupts. He congratulates Lashley on getting his way into the title match. Then there's something bothering him, though. Lashley said he knew he was a fighter with a lot of sisters, and then but Lashley relied on Iceberg Slim MVP to win. Lashley said MVP acted on his own, but he wasn't pretending to be a saint by any stretch of the imagination. Lashley then remembered MVP saying that if he couldn't be Big E, MVP would do it himself. Lashley thought that would be a great thing to see, so he left the ring to let MVP go after Big E on his own. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens suddenly attacked Lashley from behind before going after Big E. Lashley and Big E wind up fighting off Rollins and Owens. Bail out Big E and Lashley stand in the ring together, and the segment ends overall. Then we move to Owens and Rollins arguing in the back. Owens and Lashley didn't seem to get along when they need to. Anyway, then we see Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville showing up, making a tag match. Owens immediately knows where this is going. Rollins doesn't, though. They announced Owens and Rollins against Big E and Lashley later tonight. Bianca Belair defeats Doudrop 11-23. They've done this match so many times, it's ridiculous. Doudrop is mostly in control until Belair gives a spinebuster outside the ring, which leads to a break about 2 to 3 minutes into the match. Doudrop misses a bonsai drop, but hits a cannonball for near fall. Belair then fights back with a shoulder tackle, flying crossbody, and a handspring moonsault for a near fall. Doudrop responds with a sit-out powerbomb, but does not make a cover. Doudrop then drags Belair to the corner, but misses a Vader bomb, and Belair nails the KOD for the pinfall win. Anyway, crowd cares about the finish and very little else. Kevin Patrick asks Austin Theory about Vince McMahon taking an interest in him. Theory figures McMahon sees promise in him and sees him as the future WWE champion. Theory walks away. Patrick said, "You better hope you don't lose." Finn Balor defeats Austin Theory 907. Good for Theory moving up the card, but will he be here in a year? I would guess not. Balor is aggressive early and then takes Theory out after sending him over the top, and after a long chinlock, Balor fights back with a low drop kick and a clothesline. Theory then blocks a kick and drops Balor onto the apron before hitting a dropkick neckbreaker to the outside. After the break, Balor then goes back to a rest hold until he comes back with a back elbow, forearms, and double foot stomp. Hits a rolling dropkick, and then Belair drops with an enziguri. Belair then goes to the top, but Theory hits a springboard Spanish fly, Theory grabs his phone so we could take a selfie, but that allows Balor to kick out. After a few counters, Balor hits a shotgun dropkick and the coup de grace for the pinfall win. Right guy wins in a match like this, but at the same time, do the fans actually care, or are they just complacent? Because do the fans actually care, or is it just a pathetic attempt to try to get some sort of fake caring going here? Theory approaches Vince McMahon, and ultimately that continues kind of going forward. He apologizes for losing, but maybe said he is up to attacking Balor again. Vince responded, and he said he enjoys firing people right before the holiday. Vince also gives their rematch against Balor next week because we don't have creative writers, we just have repeat writers. Vince makes eraser shavings appear and blows them in the face of Theory. Vince then chuckles, and off we go. Cutting edge with Maryse. Maryse making it clear she wasn't here to be Edge's friend. She said she did love Miz, but I wanted to thank you. She mentioned everything she's done for him and the family, but she's tired and exhausted. Maryse and Edge could have hurt her last week and wondered why he would take care of her kids if something happened to her. Crowd is completely confused by this, as am I. I guess I don't watch closely enough. Maryse then asked Edge if he would do this to Beth. Edge said he wouldn't be buying this, and the crowd wasn't either. Edge wondered where Miz was because he figured this was a plan. Edge then says he would never do this to Beth because he actually respected her. Edge calls out the Miz. Miz's music hits. He tries attacking from behind. Edge comes back, fights Miz off, and Maryse attacks Edge from behind. This allows Miz to give Edge a skull-crushing finale. Miz and Maryse celebrate together. This is a complete waste of time, but that's normal. Veer is coming. Haven't we already seen Veer in tag action? So coming as a single isn't that big a deal. Rhea Ripley defeats Queen Zelina 2:10. Zelina gets a little bit of offense, but Ripley wins with a Riptide. And then Big E and Sarah go on planning to do to Rollins and Owens tonight. Lashley interrupts. Lashley plans on taking the title at day one and wonders if he could trust Big E tonight. Big E told him to leave MVP in the back. Lashley tells him not to worry about MVP. I'll take care of him, he says. Liv Morgan cuts a promo. Morgan enters with a kendo stick. She says Rebecca tried injuring her before accepting her challenge last week. She also says she couldn't let Lynch get the upper hand. Lynch said she'd go home to train. She knew that Lynch was going to be at the gym and belonged to her, and tried to get a hold of her husband in Iowa. Obviously a Seth Rollins reference. Morgan airs the footage you might have seen online where she attacked Lynch at the gym. Morgan said that Lynch is an innocent woman disguised as her because that was the kind of person she was. Morgan calls her disgusting for sacrificing one of her students. Morgan then threatens to break Lynch's face before getting her hand raised at day one. Lynch interrupts. She informs Morgan that she may have broken that student's arm. Lynch then said it would take more to keep her down, but at least Morgan taught her students a lesson that anyone could get lucky once. Lynch then warned her that it gets hot under the lights and Lynch can't handle the heat. Morgan tells Lynch that she is going to scare her out of the match, and she planned on starting the new year as champion. Morgan dares her to get in the ring, but Lynch said she wasn't an idiot. She said she's getting in the ring as long as Morgan isn't getting in the ring as long as Morgan has the kendo stick. Morgan tosses the stick off as Lynch uses as Lynch kind of grabs it for her own use. Lynch then tells Morgan not to mock her, and she's lucky that she has a private jet to catch. Lynch runs away. Then we move to a preview of next week's taped Raw. AJ Styles almost, Randy Orton, Otis, Finn Balor, Austin Theory, Damian Priest, Dolph Ziggler, U.S. title. I can't believe anybody's going to care about this that close to the holidays. Anyway, Big E and Bobby Lashley defeat Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. They go to break for about 45 seconds into the match, and after that, Lashley tackles Rollins outside the ring. Lashley is still going after Rollins. When it returns, minutes later, Rollins then is fighting back, but Lashley hits a delayed vertical suplex. That gets the crowd to be happy. Rollins then dodges, charges, tackles, and tags in Owens. Owens hits a senton to the outside and another one in the ring, and then a one count. Owens and Rollins gives Lashley double vertical suplex. Lashley tags in Big E moments later. Big E suplexes Owens and hits the SDO for a near fall. Rollins then distracts, allowing Owens to hit a super kick, and Rollins follows up with a frog splash for a near fall. Rollins then gives Lashley a suicide dive. Owens gives Big E a senton from the top for 2. After the break, Owens misses a moonsault, and Big E tags into Lashley, who gives Rollins a neckbreaker, overhead suplex combination, running clothesline, and a running power slam. Owens breaks up the cover. Rollins jumps over spear attempts, and Lashley spears Big E by accident. Lashley follows up immediately with a spear to Owens for the pinfall win. Rollins then tries to break up the cover, but that doesn't get there. Rollins and Owens continue to attack Lashley after the match. They pipe in fake boos. Owens and Rollins hug each other as the show ends, and this is a horrible rendition of Raw by any stretch of the imagination. We'll be back with more right after this.